Welcome to This Explainer. If you're an executive evaluating enterprise AI right now, you can probably already feel the narrative shifting. For the last couple of years, the entire tech world has been literally obsessed with raw AI models. It's been a race of who has the biggest parameters, who has the highest benchmark scores. But that conversation, it's rapidly changing. We're finally moving away from the hype of just raw model capabilities and entering a new, way more practical phase. We're talking about building secure, scalable, and actually productive enterprise systems. Industry leaders are calling this harness engineering, and it's absolutely the blueprint for unlocking real return on investment from your AI initiatives. To really understand why this shift is so absolutely crucial, let's just look at the sheer scale of the expectations out there. Back in April 2023, Goldman Sachs put out this massive macroeconomic prediction. They argued that generative AI could raise global GDP by 7%. That equates to nearly $7 trillion over a decade. I mean, that is an earth-shattering number. It set off this absolute gold rush across every single boardroom, with companies practically racing to figure out how to capture their slice of that $7 trillion. Okay, let's dive into this, because the stark reality right now directly contrasts with that massive economic promise. Fast forward a year to April 2024, and Goldman found that only 4% of US firms had actually adopted generative AI into their daily operations. And even more surprisingly, in the information services sector, which is a space where you'd expect adoption to be, off the charts, the number was sitting at just 16%. So we've got this massive world-changing promise on one hand, but a deeply uneven and surprisingly slow rollout on the other. And that brings us to the critical question facing every CTO, CIO, and executive evaluating AI today. Why? Why is there such a massive gap between what these AI models are clearly capable of doing and the repeatable productivity they're actually delivering to businesses? Why haven't these massive investments yielded those huge gains we were all promised? Well, the issue isn't access. Plenty of companies have access to incredibly strong frontier models right now. The problem actually lies somewhere else entirely. So, here's our roadmap for today to uncover that answer. We'll start with the AI productivity gap, look at why raw models fail, and contrast prompt versus harness engineering. Then we'll expose the hidden risks in automated workflows, lay out the enterprise harness scaffold, and wrap up with self-improving enterprise AI. All right, section 1, the AI productivity gap. Now, what's really interesting about this research is how it completely shatters our basic assumptions. We tend to think that a smarter model automatically equals faster, better business processes. But a joint study from Stanford and Tsinghua University found something wild. You can take the exact same AI model, give it the exact same raw capabilities, and actually see up to a 6 times variance in performance. How? Literally just by changing the harness design, the system built around the model. This is a massive revelation if you're an executive. It means the underlying raw model is no longer the main bottleneck. As these frontier models become more and more similar in capability, your true competitive advantage isn't going to come from the model you rent. It's going to come from the system you build around it. Moving on to section 2, why raw models fail. So, if the model isn't the bottleneck, why do isolated models struggle so much when you drop them into complex business operations? Think of it like this. The AI model is the intelligence engine. It's like a Formula One engine, right? It's incredibly powerful, highly tuned, capable of massive output. But an engine just sitting by itself on a factory floor, it's completely useless and actually highly fragile. To win a race, you need a chassis, a transmission, steering, brakes, a dashboard. That whole car is the production environment, or the harness. A raw model can easily answer a single question or summarize a document, sure. But without a harness, it simply cannot operate reliably inside a real enterprise workflow that involves complex memory, strict permissions, API tools, deadlines, edge cases, and, real business consequences. Let's look at section 3, prompt versus harness engineering. And this brilliantly illustrates the fundamental operational shift we need to make to achieve real return on investment. We have to move past the prompt box. See, prompt engineering is essentially about changing the words the model directly reads just to get it to do something right in one specific interaction. It's basically correcting a mistake once. Harness engineering, on the other hand, is about updating systemic standard operating procedures. It's changing the invisible structure around the model, the tools it calls, the checks it absolutely has to pass, the recovery process when it inevitably fails. Prompting is a band-aid. Harness engineering is building a rigorous factory line where the model consistently does the right thing over time. This systemic mindset is captured so perfectly by Mitchell Hashimoto, the creator of Terraform. He offered this incredibly pivotal insight. He said, when an AI agent makes a mistake, change the system so that entire class of mistakes stops coming back. The answer isn't to just rerun the prompt and cross your fingers hoping for a better output. The answer is to engineer the harness so that specific error becomes systematically impossible to repeat. Which brings us to Section 4, risks in automated workflows. When an AI transitions into being an agent, when it actually starts opening terminals, running commands, and taking physical actions, just scaling up the model won't save you from the hidden risks. The first major danger here is context rot. A lot of folks think a bigger context window, say 1 million tokens, automatically makes an agent better. But if you just dump massive server logs or entire codebases into the model, all the useful detail gets completely buried under old noise and irrelevant files. The model technically has the information, but the signal is completely drowned out. To fight this, cutting-edge systems like Claude Code use a 5-tier compaction system. If an agent hits a massive error log, the harness doesn't just dump it all in. It writes the file to the local disk and hands the model an 8-kilobyte preview to evaluate first. You can't just add tokens, you have to actively curate them. The second hidden danger is what researchers at UC Berkeley call the stale but confident problem. Imagine the scenario. An agent remembers a note about how a database is structured, but it misses the crucial fact that the database was actually migrated yesterday. It then confidently executes a script that completely breaks the live environment. Memory sounds great, but unverified memory is incredibly dangerous. Any proper enterprise harness, memory files have to act as hints, not undeniable facts. Before taking any risky action, the harness absolutely forces the agent to check the live environment and verify that its memory is still completely accurate. Let's move to Section 5, the Enterprise Harness Scaffold Act. So, the crucial point is, how do we actually build this? Well, here is the literal checklist of system layers CTOs require for an agent to operate over time without crashing and burning. First, you start with the LLM as the reasoning engine. Pretty standard. But then you need a memory system to retain lessons across tasks. You need a context system to filter out the noise and prevent that context rot we just talked about. You need skill routing so the agent knows precisely which tool to pick for the job. You need an orchestration loop to actually control the sequence of steps. And finally, verification and governance. Strict, unbreakable rules so the agent cannot take risky actions without proper checks, human permissions, and clear rollback paths. If you're sitting there wondering if building out this entire scaffold is actually worth the effort, let me give you a concrete example. According to recent reports, OpenAI processed roughly 1 million lines of code and around 1,500 pull requests in just 5 months. Think about that volume. They achieved this immense scale not by having humans write every line manually or by simply giving a model a bigger prompt. No, they did it by rigorously shaping the environment around the agent. They engineered the harness, and the business value they generated was absolutely staggering. Finally, Section 6, Self-Improving AI Enterprise. Now, what happens when the harness becomes smart enough to actually manage itself? This is the cutting edge. Researchers at Microsoft Research Asia recently introduced a brilliant concept called retrospective harness optimization, or RHO. It's essentially a way for AI agents to improve their own guardrails by using their past failures. Here's how it flows. First, the system looks back at its own work history and selects tasks that were both hard and diverse, just to make sure it's not focusing too narrowly on one type of mistake. Second, it runs self-validation to see exactly where it made false assumptions or maybe used the wrong tools. Third, it checks self-consistency, actively looking for major disagreements across multiple attempts. And finally, based on all those clues, it generates and tests updates to its own harness. It doesn't just change its prompt, it's literally updating its own tools, its own checks, and its own instructions. And honestly, the results are undeniable. Using a GPT 5.5 model, this self-improving harness method pushed the score on a major coding benchmark, SW Bench Pro, from 0.59 to an impressive 0.78. And here's the kicker, they didn't upgrade the raw model. The model stayed exactly the same. That massive leap in performance happened strictly because the system evolved. The agent learned to verify its work more often and use its tools more carefully. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. As these incredibly powerful AI models become standard commodities that are available to pretty much everyone, where does your true competitive advantage actually lie? Is the winner of the enterprise AI race going to be the team that just rents the best raw model? Or is it going to be the team that engineers the absolute best harness around it? For business leaders mapping out their AI strategy right now, the answer is becoming very, very clear. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep structuring your systems, and I'll catch you in the next one.